Okay, so Sarah says, "What do you think is the most effective way to speak well? I understand when I listen, but when I speak, make a lot of mistakes." Okay, so Sarah, what you're asking is still very broad. So when you say you want to speak well, what does that mean? Do you want to speak with no mistakes? Do you want to use better vocabulary? Is it your pronunciation or your grammar? What is causing your mistakes? You say you make a lot of mistakes, so what mistakes do you make? If you know what mistakes you make, then you can start to make a plan to fix it. But if you don't know what mistakes you make, that's a problem. Okay? So, this is an idea that I've been meaning to teach for a long time. If you want to know how to do something, sometimes you have to imagine how to teach something. So sometimes I think it's a very useful tool or useful trick to pretend like you are the teacher and you are the student. So if you say, "How can I learn this thing?" then you can also say, "How can I teach this thing?" And when you think about teaching it, somehow that makes it more clear about how to break it down. So when you ask yourself, "How do I learn this thing?" it feels difficult to figure out. Like, I don't know how to learn this thing. But if you ask, "How do I teach this thing to someone else?" suddenly now your brain starts to figure out, well, if I had to tell somebody else what to do, what would I do? That's very useful. Okay? So, Sarah, what kind of mistakes do you make? One, that's one thing I would say. Are you aware of what mistakes you make? If you're aware of what mistakes you make, then you can start to work on a plan to improve those mistakes. But, Sarah, another thing that I find is true for most people who say this, most people who say something like, "I can listen, but I can't speak," it's because they can't think with English well. If you want to use a language, you have to be able to think about that language using that language, not translating, not using your native language. But many, 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 many people, I would say 80%, maybe even 90% of people who learn a language, nobody tells them that you're supposed to be thinking in the same language that you're speaking. So they translate. And that causes problems because it's too slow to translate everything every single time that you have to use a language. So part of the job of a student who's learning a language is to learn how to think about that language, not to say it or write it or read it or listen to it, but to think about it. Okay? So if you become comfortable thinking in English, you will become very comfortable speaking in English. Okay? And hello, Joanne. How are you today? And by the way, Joanne, I hope you are okay and everyone from the Philippines who's following me here. I saw the, what was it, a 7.8? That's a huge, huge earthquake. So I do hope that everyone will be okay there. It looked pretty bad. Hello, Arash. Hello, Dream and Simone. Hello, Gwen. How to differentiate flower and flower by listening? You can't. You can't. Uh, it's just like Chinese, Gwen. Gwen, in Chinese, there are many words that sound like shi. But how do I know which one? Only by context. Or in Chinese, he, she, and it are all ta ta ta. So how can you tell which one? Context. Okay? So the same thing is true with those words. The word flour, meaning the thing you use to bake bread, that's something that you would only use when you're talking about baking bread or cooking, right? Very rarely will you talk about those two things in the same sentence. It's not too often that you talk about flowers from the field and flour from your kitchen at the same time. Okay? Hello, Ken. Hello, Anna. I watched the replay after class. The whiteboard was often black, unlike yesterday when it only went black at the end during the final display. The function between the live stream and the replay works differently. So you mean the replay... So I think what you mean, Susu, is the problem that we were having with the screen share. When I share my screen and nobody can see it, it's just a black screen. So you're saying that on the replay, all of those show up on the replay, right? Ah, okay. That actually is helpful because I can tell HelloTalk to look at the replay, and now the replay should show all those problems. So that's actually useful. I will tell them that. Hold on. Let me send them a message now before I forget. Okay. Let's see. Vel, hello. And the World Cup is starting. Am I excited? You know the answer to that question, Can. You know the answer to that. Come on. You've been following me for a while. You know what I think. I don't pay attention to sports, even the World Cup. It just doesn't interest me. I just don't have any interest in it. It doesn't excite me at all. Not even a little. I have no interest. I have the same level of interest to watch sports as I do to watch ants crawling in my yard. I don't often go out in my yard and look at the ants crawling around, and I also don't often watch sports because they're equally important. Okay, I'm sorry. If you like it, great. Enjoy yourself. Don't let me rain on your parade. There's a good quote or a good idiom that you can learn, a good idiom. To rain on someone else's parade means they like something and you're being mean or negative about it. So you are raining on their parade. A parade is a celebration and you are ruining their celebration. So don't let me rain on your parade. If you're excited about the World Cup or whatever sport, great. That's fine. but I'm just not. Let's see. Melds says hello, and tell me how to be a good teacher. When I have a big class, I have so many different students with different characters and learning styles. Well, Melds, that's the art of being a teacher. Part of the difficulty of being a teacher is that you have to know how to provide the information to many, many different people. Children are people, and they come in many flavors. Some are easy and some are difficult, and some are funny and some are rude, and some are, part of the art of teaching is the ability to give the information or knowledge that you have to many different kinds of people, and that you have to use techniques that lure them, that entice them into learning, right? So what that means is, if you are the teacher and you look bored or you are not excited, they're not going to be excited and they're going to be bored. So the first part of being a good teacher is that you have to carry a kind of energy with you that makes the student feel like you care. One, you care, and two, you have a passion and energy for what you do. You enjoy it and you care about what you do, right? If they feel like you care, they will pay attention more. It's true. Even the students that are difficult can appreciate a teacher who cares, because every student in school has experienced a teacher who doesn't care. Every student has felt what it feels like to try to learn with a student who doesn't care. Or with a teacher, with a teacher who doesn't care, not a student. Sorry. So, every student knows what it feels like to not have the attention they need. So if a teacher shows that attention, it usually does matter to almost everyone. Okay? But Melds, what age are you teaching? What age? All right. According to the cable guy last week, I had my network checked. He suggested I use mobile data before I had to go in and out every minute. Okay, interesting. I don't know why you would have to use mobile data. Mobile data would be worse, I would think, than Wi-Fi. That's weird. Simone says, should I try to watch movies without English captions even though I'm not able to understand many words due to the pronunciation and the rhythm? Okay, Simone, what I tell people about TV shows and movies and podcasts, every American TV show and movie and podcast has something for free that you can get called the transcript. The transcript. It means that's all of the words that they say, all of the dialogue in the show or movie. They print it out for you, so you can print it and hold it. And now you can make notes and you can circle the vocabulary that you like, or the words you don't know, or the phrases that you like, etc. Right? You can make notes. You can study it. So if you're watching TV or movies and you're trying to learn, can you learn with just the TV? Sure, but not very well. Okay? It's called efficacy. The efficacy of just watching TV as a learning tool is not very good. It's not a very high level of efficacy. So, efficacy means effectiveness. How effective is it? So what I tell people is, you can watch TV, but I want you to choose one show or one movie. Then I want you to watch it 5 times. at least 5 times, right? So the first time you watch it with no subtitles, no help at all. The second time you watch with the subtitles on the TV. The third time you watch with the transcript, and you make notes and you study it. The fourth time you watch, you take away the transcript and you watch with just the subtitles again. And the fifth time you watch, again, you use nothing, no subtitles, no transcript, and see if your listening has improved. Okay, so 5 times. First time, nothing. Second time, subtitles. Third time, transcript. And if you need the subtitles also, you can put them on the screen, but I think it's usually not necessary. Fourth time, subtitles. And fifth time, nothing. Excuse me. Okay, let's see. Development team told me the issue was fixed today. Okay, I will check later. They tell me that they fixed the screen share problem. So hopefully that's not a problem anymore. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Hello, Dream. Hello, Fluke. Welcome, Mira. I'm confused with motivated, inspire, encourage. Can I explain how to use them? Okay, so motivate, inspire, and encourage, those are the same, pretty much, right? To motivate someone. That's basically when you say, 加油, 加油, you know, 你可以啊, 加油, right? Or to inspire is sometimes the same way, but sometimes inspiration is passive, not active, right? So maybe you watch me and you think, oh, wow, I really like what he does. That inspires me. So that means I, the teacher, I did not actively do anything directly to you, but you were inspired by me, right? So something I did made you feel a certain way. That's an inspiration, right? To inspire, right? Encourage is, again, similar to motivate. It's like 加油. It means like keep going. You can do it. Stop worrying so much. You'll get through this. Don't worry, right? That's to encourage, all right? And the word encourage means to give courage to someone else. They don't have the courage they need, so you need to tell them things that will give them courage, to encourage them, okay? And the word, one moment. Let's see. The word inspire means to give more spirit. Spirit, like energy, belief in yourself, right? So inspire means to give someone more spirit inside themselves, okay? And to motivate is about the word motive, right? And what does motive mean? The word motive literally means moving. Something that makes you move. It makes you do something. It motivates you. You say something, now you're doing something. That's a movement. So someone made you move, that's motivation. Okay? For example, let's see. When Teacher Mark explains etymology, he asks us questions. This makes the lesson more fun. Well, yeah, you have to engage. You have to learn how to engage with your students. And teaching is not just about telling the answers or telling the information. Teaching is about teasing the answers out of your students. So what that means is, I don't just say, okay, today we're going to learn about, William the Conqueror in 1066. No, I don't just tell you about that. I'll tell you a story and I'll ask you questions that the questions will make you think about the answers that you should be. Right? So I tease the answers out of you by questioning you or presenting you with possibilities that you have to think about. Then the answers will come to you. Right? So this is the old story of you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. That's an idiom. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So when you're teaching, if you just tell them the answer, that's like pulling them to the water. You're not really helping them drink the information. But if you tease them to the information, you guide them there, right? You make them think that it's their idea. You're not forcing them to do it. You're allowing them to do it, right? It's one of the tricks of psychology that sometimes children especially, if a child is acting badly in class, sometimes what you do is you give them a choice between two things. Okay, you have a choice. You can either go outside and sit down and write an essay for 20 minutes about why you should be quiet in class, or you can sit down and be quiet and join us in class. What do you want to do? Right? So children haven't figured out that answers are not usually just binary, two things, right? And humans usually, they like a binary choice. When you give humans a binary choice, they almost always will choose one. So if you go to Starbucks, sometimes when you go to Starbucks, they have a tip jar, right? And they'll use two tip jars, not just one. And they put on the tip jar, they'll say, I like red. And the other tip jar will say, I like blue. Statistics show that if people have a choice between two things, even if it's completely unimportant, they're more likely to make a choice. If you just say, hey, give me a tip, they're not going to give you a tip. But if you give them a choice of red or blue, now they'll give a tip. This is a psychological trick you can use with students. Sometimes you ask them, well, do you want to move your chair and write an essay, or do you want to just join the group? Or whatever. You give them a choice of two possible things that they have to choose: the punishment or doing what they should be doing. Right? That's one little trick that I use. Okay, let's see. You teach kids, teens 3 to 18. Okay, so I'm going to tell you very quickly. Between 2 and 5, 2 and 5, that's the age that you don't teach anything directly. You teach passively. So between 2 and 5, you should be mostly just doing things like talking about English, right? So maybe I have an apple and a banana and, a pear or something, right? And I'll go and I'll pick up the apple and say, oh, wow, this red apple looks yummy. This red apple looks yummy. Mmm. And then I'll take a bite and I'll say, mmm, it's yummy. Now, most of the kids at 2 years old or 3 years old, they don't know any of these words yet. But they will associate the look of someone eating and saying, mmm, yummy. Ah, if they're Chinese, they know that usually means 好吃. Right? So, Between 2 and 5, what you do is you read stories, you present English around them, you use songs, you use dance, you use play. Play, play, play. But no teaching and no homework. Only presenting an environment of playful English. That's what you do between 2 and 5. Between 5 and 12, that's when you start really teaching, but you teach with play, again, through games, mostly. You need to know 1,000 games, and then you need to know 1,000 more games. Okay, a good teacher, especially an English teacher or a language teacher, they need a lot of games. Okay, and then between 13 and 18, it does get more difficult to teach, in my opinion. Because between 13 and 18, when you teach groups of kids that age in a group act completely differently than they do by themselves. So when I teach a 14-year-old kid or a 15-year-old kid in a private lesson, I control everything. It's all good. We're all fine. No problems. But when those 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds are in a group together, now they have a group dynamic, and they have this us and them. You're the teacher, and we're the students. You're the outsider, and we're the good ones. You're the bad one, right? That's why kids create slang, right? Kids use slang to make themselves feel powerful, because language is power, right? And if the old guy doesn't know the words you use, now you feel powerful, right? So, so between 13 and 18 is a lot more difficult because you're dealing with the psychology of child development. And between 13 and 18, there's a lot that happens that children are going through, a lot of internal hormonal changes and body changes and social changes, and it's a very, very difficult time for children. So it's a very difficult time to teach, especially in a group. It's probably the most difficult group, in my opinion, to teach is between 13 and 18, because that's an age where they're still developing their sense of me, their sense of self. And a lot of development of self is pushing back, saying no. And who are they going to say no to? The teacher, right? All right, let's see. Please be patient. I'm trying to answer all the questions. Oh, I see. So the guy told you in your tiny little city, when the network reaches here, the quality is weak, but the mobile data is from the big city. Oh, that makes more sense. I see that. Okay. Hello, Amelia. Okay, let's see. Sadly, in China, some parents send their kindergarten children to learn formal knowledge. It is so sad. Yeah, it is. They don't understand. I know the pressure that the Chinese parents feel, but they're making a terrible mistake 9 out of 10 times. There might be, out of 100 children, out of 100, maybe there are 2 or 3 who might benefit from real learning at a very early age, right? 2 or 3 years old, they might be able to actively learn, right? But that's only 2 or 3 out of 100, all right? Now, the problem is every parent thinks, oh, my child is the brilliant one, my child is the genius, my child is the one who can do it. Every parent thinks that about their child. So yeah, um, it's funny, Susu, because when I was teaching in Taiwan, one of the things that I learned was interesting. I worked for this one woman. She had her own little private cram school, and it was a great job. I loved working at this little school. She was great. The students were great. It was wonderful. The classes were only 2 or 3 or 4 kids in a class. You know, I didn't have 20 or 30. I had maybe 6 at most in a class. It was wonderful. But what I noticed was the boss, who was one of the teachers there, right? She ran the school. Her kids didn't go to the cram schools. She owns a cram school. She runs a cram school, but her own kids didn't go to the cram school. And I remember asking her about that. And she said, yeah, it's too much pressure. And my kids do better without the pressure. And that's usually true. That's usually true. But I think that in China, there's a problem. Part of the problem is that the Chinese parents are very busy and they don't have a lot of time, and maybe they don't even know what to do, right? So if you don't have time and you don't know what to do, and you feel this sense of pressure, a really strong sense of pressure about your children and education, right? It starts from the very day one when you have a child. Now you feel like, oh no, where is my baby going to go to college? Where is my baby going to go to a university? What university can they get into, right? So you begin the sense of pressure even when they're babies, right? So I understand the pressure, but the way that they deal with it doesn't work. You know, just the saddest thing that I've ever seen is a kid who's 10 years old who already hates learning. A 10-year-old child who now hates learning. Hates it. That's one of the most terrible things that you can do to a child, is kill their love of learning that early. Like, okay, it's normal for people to get a little bit stressed out in high school or college. It's very normal for students to get stressed out in high school or college. But if you're stressed out when you're 10, you'll quit. In your mind, you just give up. You say, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. So you kill their learning. You have to think about learning. The ability to learn is like a fire. And when you start a fire, it's very small and it's very delicate. So in the beginning of learning, children, when they're learning, their fire is very delicate. And if you do too much, what happens to a fire? If I start a fire and I put on too much wood at the same time, what will happen to the fire? Anyone? No, it doesn't become a big fire. It will go dead. Yeah, if you put too much wood on a small fire, right? I have a little tiny fire. It's this big. My fire is this big, and I'm putting a lot of wood on there. It's going to kill the fire. What if when I have a little tiny fire, now I'm going to blow on it like this? Is that good? If I blow on it really hard? A little tiny flame? No, if I blow on it too hard, it's going to go out. So when you make a fire, you have to be gentle with the fire. You have to delicately, gently build that fire until it has enough energy and strength to continue to burn. But if you push a child too much when they're too young, you're just killing the fire. You're just killing the fire. You're putting on too much wood. You're blowing on it too hard. So education for a child is like developing a fire. It's building a fire. It's a delicate thing. You have to be gentle and careful. And you have to what's the word? We say to kindle the fire. To kindle the fire. What does that word mean? Do you know? To kindle. Well, if you want to start a fire, do you use big pieces of wood or do you use little tiny pieces of wood or little tiny things? Yeah, so little tiny pieces of wood or pieces of things that can burn, that's called kindling. That's called kindling. We use that to start a fire. So if you're in the woods and you need to start a fire, we'll say, oh, well, let's get some kindling. So you look for little tiny pieces of wood and sticks and leaves, and you put together a little pile. And it's a special pile. You have to get just the right things. They can't be too big. They can't be wet. They have to be burnable, right? Flammable, right? So it's a careful thing. And then when you get the kindling, then you have to light the kindling, and then you carefully blow that fire until it's bigger, right? But starting a fire is a careful act. Education is a careful act. And if you're not careful, you'll just kill the fire. All right? Education is a careful act. And if you're not careful, you'll just kill the fire. That's what every teacher should know. And every parent and every teacher should know. Okay? All right. Let's see. Melds, you need to learn some games more. So Melds, there are some websites that you can use for games that I think you've seen before on my live streams here. Games2learnenglish.com. That website is amazing. It's free. It's all games for English, right? Then there's ESL Lounge.com. This one is also really good. That one also has games, a bunch of games. And then there are books that you can get. There are books and websites that you can go to find more games for teachers. Okay, for teachers. So when you're searching, search for ESL games for teachers. Okay? All right, let's see. What's the difference between I don't know and I have no idea? Nothing. Nothing. I don't know is the most common answer. I have no idea is a little bit stronger. So maybe you'll ask me a question and I'll say, I don't know. But then you ask me again and I say, look, I don't know. I have no idea. That means I really, really don't know. Nothing in my head has this answer, right? I have no idea. Okay? So I don't know is just the most common form. I have no idea is a little stronger. That's the only difference. All right, let's see. You once met a guy in your very first conversation. He said he was going to educate your children. Yeah, that's freaky. That's freaky. Yeah. Hangman is great. Yeah, Hangman's a fun game that you can play, and it's great for spelling. It's great for vocabulary. But crossword puzzles are fun, and they're great. When I was a boy, we used to play Scrabble. Do you know Scrabble, the game Scrabble? Let me see if I can find it. No, no, no. Um, I can't find a good website that has it, but Scrabble is a famous game. And then there's Wordle. Also, Wordle, Scrabble and Wordle. You guys know those? Those are great. Oh, here it is, right here. Play Scrabble online for free. Look, this is Scrabble. PlayScrabble.com. Right there. Okay? And let's see. Now, I've never tried this, so let's find out. Start game. Oh, wait. English, US, time limit 45 minutes, easy. Start game. Okay, take a look. Let's see. So we have omega. That's the word they wrote was omega. Okay? Let me make it bigger for you. I guess that's as big as I can go. So they wrote the word omega, and now you have these letters here. And now you have to make a word with these letters. You have to create a word and find a place for it on the board. So let's see. They gave these letters, and we have these letters. So let's see, what else could we do here? Well, we have O here, and we have an L. So what about this? L O A N. Loan. Okay, submit. Oh, look, that works, and you get some points. Okay, and then they have to give you new letters. So this is another really fun game that's good for your vocabulary and good for your spelling. And it's great for kids in class. Great game for kids. Okay? Super famous game in America. Okay? When I was a kid, everybody played Scrabble. And again, if your parents, some families are different than others, right? So my family, when I was growing up, we played Scrabble and we played Monopoly and we played chess. We played these board games and, we played games that made you think. And if you play those games, they make you think. So you become a better thinker. Okay? So Scrabble is a great one. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoy my class. Okay, let's see. Ali is raising his hand. I haven't talked to Ali in a while. Maybe I'll invite Ali on stage. Ali, do you want to come talk to me for a minute? Do you have a question for me, Ali? If you want to raise your hand and come talk to me, let's do it. Don't be scared. It's ridiculous to be scared of me. All right? If you see a little tiny dog and you see me, you should be more afraid of the little tiny dog than you are of me. Okay? All right, let's try Michelle.
How are you?
Hello, Michelle. How are you? I'm fine.
Okay, good. It's nice to join your live stream, and I hear some you talk about the education, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I was talking
Yeah,
about earlier. Yeah. It's nice to have you here. Where are you? Where are you in China? Are you in Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen?
I live in Shenzhen. I
Shenzhen.
live in
Okay.
Shenzhen.
All right.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah. It's I appreciate you give me a chance join your live streams, and yeah, and it's very funny because today I have a conversation about a coaching conversation
Mm-hmm.
and use coaching in English. And my coaching tell me, what's your next actions using English? I said, tonight I'm going to join a live stream in the eHello. So I did it tonight. I think I'm proud of what I did right now. Yeah.
Good for
And
you.
I'm glad to connect with you. Even my English is not that good, but it doesn't matter. I think you understand me. That's enough. It's my second language, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Right.
I did that.
Yeah. You don't
Yeah.
have to speak perfectly. 我会说中文，可是我感觉我的中文有一点奇怪，因为这是自己的，
不会。
yeah，就不会，对对对，你也是，就是不会，你的英文就是很好的，所以没关系，没
I
关
can
系。
understand you. You can understand me, right?
Right.
Even when
Yeah.
yeah,
Right. Maybe
yeah. I think
I don't say it the way a Chinese person would say it, but you understand me, and that's all I care about. Right? I'm not trying to be perfect, and I'm not trying to have Chinese that's better than a Chinese person. I'm just trying to express myself to Chinese people. That's it. So, if you can express yourself and your face goes, oh, then I did it. Then it's
yeah,
good. Yeah, that is no problem, right? It doesn't have to be perfect.
yes,
It will get better, right? So what I do is I try to tell people that it's like music, right?
mm,
The first time you play a song, it's not pretty because it's the first time, right? But you play it again, and each time you play, you try to make the song more pretty, more musical, right? Well, that's how
yeah,
language is too, right? So the first time you speak, if it's not perfect, if it's not beautiful, that's not a problem. It's okay. Play it again. Play it again
I
and play it again.
totally,
You know?
yeah, I totally agree with you because practice make perfect.
Yeah,上课
And
上课上，对。
as a Chinese, we always make a very high goals. It's like a speaker, like a native speaker, but it's impossible. We can't just become a native speaker with this and the second language, yeah.
Well,
And so
I will disagree. I will disagree a little bit. I will disagree a little bit because
okay,
I'll tell you why.
okay,
Because language is something that you have to care about.
yes.
To be good, you have to care. But does everyone care about language? No.
I don't think so. Yeah.
No. If you go on Facebook and look at Facebook, you will see nobody cares about language. They use bad grammar. They don't use commas. They don't capitalize. They don't punctuate. They spell things wrong all the time. They say Y-O-U-R when they should say Y-O-U apostrophe R-E, or they say there, T-H-E-R-E, when they should say there, T-H-E-I-R. They make stupid little mistakes all the time. And the reason why is because language goes wherever you go. So what that means
Yes.
is if you are a professor, then your language will be like a professor. But
Then I am not a learner.
right, but
Yeah.
if you're just a mechanic, or maybe you're an electrician, or you work for a sales company, then your language will be like that, probably, right? So that means that in America there are 330 million people or so, and I think it's about 110 million native speakers. But of all of those, not all of them speak well. Okay? Most Americans don't really care about language. Language is a really funny thing.
Yes.
Because we use it all the time, so that means it's really important, right? But because we use it all the time, people don't think about how important it is.
I agree with yeah.
It's
It's
funny that
even
way.
today my coaching also told me even maybe language just in a conversation maybe language only have a 30% cruise it is a language. And another thing maybe body language is also like a smile.
That's
And
also
you
important.
can rate
Yeah,
it. Yeah, you
that's
can rate it.
exactly right.
So so I come here. I just want to tell most of the learner, like from China, we are more shy and we are too straight to ourselves. And I don't. That's not necessary because we are good enough. And don't worry about that. Even you only know how are you. How about very simple sentences? It's okay. Just speak out. Yeah.
That's right. So there is a cultural thing in China and Asia, almost all of Asia, where in Chinese culture, many people believe that being shy is kind of like being humble,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Today I also.
that means that, like, when if a teacher asks a question in America, if I ask a question to my class, all the students, they go, oh, me, right? They raise their hand, me, teacher Mark, right? But if you ask that question in China, what do? The kids look around like this.
Yeah.
like
Because it's a culture. You should be humble. You should be
right.
yeah.
That's right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's this quality that they think being shy is like being humble, but shyness is not a good thing. Shyness does not benefit you at all. Being humble is good. But
Yeah, but not that way.
right,
Not for
that's right.
language.
But if you're if you're afraid to raise your hand, that's not helping you. That's not helping you. You have to stop that, right? You know, that's bad shyness, right? So that's
Yeah.
not humility. Humility is just saying, I don't know everything. But just because you don't know everything doesn't mean you can't raise your hand. You can raise your hand and say, I think I know the answer. Maybe I know. Maybe I don't know. That's being humble.
Yeah,
okay.
that's why I raise my hands, come to your stage.
Yeah, good for
Yes,
you.
I
Good for
think
you. Yeah.
Yeah, because before I show I'm so shy to show my English in the public. I think that's I don't want to push myself, leave my own comfort zone.
Yeah.
I think this uncomfortable for me. But tonight I think this okay, not a big deal.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. And the thing is, if you never leave your comfort zone, then you'll never be comfortable.
Yes, because we will think too much. We will live in our fears because you think what will happen, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
So I think hmm
yeah. So, you know, shyness is this quality that lots of people, they think that it's maybe a positive thing, like I don't want to show off or I don't want to be arrogant or something like that, so they act this way. But shyness is now, you're losing opportunities because of your shyness. You're
yes,
losing opportunities that you could answer, and maybe you have a chance to learn because you raise your hand. But because you're shy, you don't. And you know, the other day I heard something that I kind of liked these words. There was somebody I heard online who said, if you feel embarrassed, nobody else did that. You did that to yourself. You
yes,
let yourself feel embarrassed.
um, yes.
So
I agree with that.
nobody else embarrasses you. They don't embarrass you. No, no, no. You let yourself feel embarrassed. Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree with that because if you don't think that in China we have sentence, I think most audience to hear that like 只要你不尴尬，尴尬的就是别人。
哦，太快
Do
了。
you un 啊？只要你不尴尬，尴尬的就是别人。
Oh,
It means if you
I've heard this before. What does it tell them? Tell them I've heard this before. Yeah. Go ahead.
只要你不尴尬，尴尬的就是别人。It means if you don't feel embarrassed, then other. I means how to translate in Chinese. It means if you don't feel embarrassed, don't nobody can embarrass you. Just
Right,
something like
that's
this
right.
one.
Yeah, Susu says as long as you're not embarrassed, it's others who will be. That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. And you have to understand that when you feel embarrassed, embarrassment is a power that you give to other people.
Yeah, you give the choice. You give your own ideas to decide with other people's, not
Yeah.
decide by your side.
So
Yeah.
many people, they come here and they say, well, I'm afraid to speak because I don't want to be embarrassed. People are going to make fun of me. That's your problem. You're the one who's allowing that. You're allowing yourself to feel embarrassed. And what I tell people is you have to make a choice. Do you care more about your learning, or do you care more about your embarrassment? You have to choose. Which one do you care more about? Learning or being laughed at? You know, do you care more about growing, or do you care more about being cool? Right?
Yeah, yeah. Just like tonight, who know me? Nobody know me, right? But I
Right.
learned something. I can encourage myself to connect it with the teacher Mark, and I can. So when I after finish this conversation, I feel proud of myself. That's more important than embrace.
That's exactly
Embrace
right.
what can protect you, what can help you. So this is the point. Is yeah.
And you know, when you're climbing a mountain, it's hard. When you're climbing a mountain, it's hard and maybe even scary sometimes. But you climb a little bit and then you stop and you
Yeah.
look and you look at the view. You look at the view and you say, "Oh, look what I did." Right? So learning is like that. When you're learning, it's going to be hard and it's stressful. But then you'll stop and you'll feel like, ah, look at the view. Look at the view. Ah, look what I can do now. Look what I can see. Look what I know now. And that's a feeling that, ah, that's good, right? That's just like when you go up the mountain, you stop and you take a rest and you look at the beautiful view and then you say, ah, now I can go do more. Now I can do more because I see this beautiful view. Now I have energy again. Let's go. Let's do more, right? That's how learning is. You have to have moments where you take a break and enjoy the view. You have to celebrate. You have to be like, ah, look, I've done something. I've accomplished something. This feels good, right? And that gives you
Yeah.
that energy to want to do more, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I understand that. Like most of Chinese students, I feel in that. I'm not sure they are the same feeling. We are too humble, too shy, and we set a very high goals. It's hard to reach it, and I think we need to step by step and even finish one little step action. We should be cheerful ourselves. We should be like a word ourselves. It's called a reward ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And not like a uh, it's a big project. It's too hard. It's
Yeah,
too harsh for us.
that's
Yeah.
that's the wisdom of something small, which means if you can't clean your whole house, then just clean one room. And if you can't clean your whole room,
Uh,
then just clean one corner of the room. If you can't clean one
mm.
corner of the room, then just clean your shoes. If you can't clean your shoes, then just, you know, like, right, just do something, right? Do something that's better than
Yes.
nothing. Yeah, that's
Oh
right.
my God, I totally agree what you say. And I remember when I create because in China, in the Chinese New Year, we have a like hobby to clean the room.
Hmm.
And when I know I need to clean the whole house like this, I will feel like
Overwhelmed.
hope
Yeah,
like yeah,
overwhelmed is the word.
overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I joined a club, and they said, okay, today we trying to move one step, just clean your region. Is it called region? Yeah, make them clean.
Yeah.
And when I clean up, I look there very tidy, everything. I
Right.
feel so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. That's why this works, because that's what happens is you feel when you think about cleaning the whole house, you feel like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you clean that little tiny part of the room and now you look at that and you go, oh, that does look nice. That does look nice. I
Yes.
like that. Wow, that's good, right? Now you feel a sense of, I want to do more, right? It's called patting yourself on the back, like, ah, that's good. Wow, that was great. Let
Yeah.
me do more, right? This is a really important part of learning. When you're learning, you have to feel like you're making some progress. So that means you have to
Yeah.
create a system that challenges you, but also rewards you. And that you don't do too much, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes people say, "Oh, I want to learn English in 2 weeks." or I want to learn in 6 months. Okay, but that means that you're trying to climb Mount Everest. That's the biggest mountain in the world, right? You're
Mm.
trying to climb that as your first mountain? No. No, you can't climb the biggest mountain in the world as your first mountain.
Yeah.
No, you have to start with something smaller. If you climb that mountain first, you're probably going to die on that mountain, right? That's what happens to many people with their learning. They try to do too much too fast, and that's like climbing a dangerous mountain that you're not ready for. So now
Mm.
you killed the process of learning. You killed the process of learning. So you have to choose the mountain that you can climb. You know, you don't want it to be too
Yes.
easy. You don't want to be too easy, but you don't want it to be too hard either. Because if it's too hard, you might die. And I'm talking about the
Exactly.
learning process is what will die. The learning process will die, right? So finding the mountain that's right for you is a really important part of learning.
Yes, I understand that, because if you are climb the too high mountains, we can't reach the top of the of the mountain. So it's like the learning progress. We will give up. We will think I
Right.
can't do
You'll
that.
quit.
Yeah,
That's right. You give up
I will quit.
that's right. That's exactly
Yes,
right. Yeah.
yes.
So
Just step by step and slowly and keep doing and like you said, not too easy but not too difficult.
that's
I
right.
think most of the time we choose the goals is too hard. Like when
Yeah,
speaking English,
it's
yeah,
funny because we do both. We choose things that are too hard or we choose things that are too easy because the easy things make you feel good. Right? So when you do something easy,
yeah,
like for example, many people they can speak well, but they can't write well or they can't read well or something like that, right? So if they can do it well, then they do that all the time because that makes them feel good because it's easy. But the thing
yeah.
that
Because
they're not good at,
that
they
part is
don't do it.
our comfort zone. That part
That's
is
right.
our comfort zone.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's comforting. That's right. So, what I tell people is you have to find the right mountain for you, right? But in English, we have a saying. We say, don't limit your challenges, challenge your limits.
Wow, don't limit your challenge, limit your
Challenge your limits. So what that means is
challenge your
many
okay,
people limit
okay.
their challenges. They say that's too hard. I don't want to do that. I don't want to that's too hard. I'm not going to they're limiting their challenges. Or they come here and they say, "How can I do it in 2 weeks?" or "How can I do it with the least amount?" With the least amount of work, right? If you're asking about how you can do it with the least, then you'll never be great.
Okay,
Right?
yeah, I
Because you're
agree.
you're
So
already
challenge
trying to do
our
right.
limits,
You have to
challenge our
challenge,
limits. Yeah,
yeah, challenge your ability. Now, but like I said, you have to balance that, right? Because if you climb a mountain that's too hard for you, you'll just die on that mountain.
yeah, you
Right?
quit.
So that's right. So you have to find the balance between those things, right? Challenge yourself because that's how you grow, right? When a plant is coming out of the soil, the seed has to push up out of the ground and it has to find that light and go up. That's not an easy thing. That's learning. Learning
Yes.
is like pushing up out of the ground. It should feel difficult. It shouldn't feel easy all the time. It's not learning it's not growing if that's the way it feels. If you're not challenging yourself, you're not growing,
Yes, I think
right?
tonight I already finished my challenge to limit challenge my because I am so brave to join
Yeah,
your
sure.
stage.
And look, everybody
Thank you.
and everybody is saying you're doing great. You're doing great. So now you should have the confidence, right? This will give you confidence and encouragement and it will inspire you and motivate you to want to do more, right? This is a really important part. Try and maybe you'll do okay and maybe you won't. But either way you'll grow. If you don't try,
Yeah,
you don't grow.
yeah. Because I try, so I will grow.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good part. Thank you, Teacher Mark. Very nice to connect with you. I hope I
You
have a
too.
chance to connect with you together next time. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Take care,
Okay.
Michelle. It was great to talk to you. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Thank you. Good night. Bye bye.
See, I do talk to people on stage sometimes. Hello, Waleed. Don't limit your challenges, challenge your limits. But don't choose a mountain that's too hard for you that you're just going to die on. When you're learning, you need to choose a mountain that's a challenge, but not one that's going to risk your life. And your life in learning is the life. So if you choose a mountain that's too hard, you're just going to kill your love for learning. You're going to kill your excitement, your energy, your desire to learn. Right? So choose the right mountain. Okay. Earlier today, I talked loudly and nearly screamed with joy in my voice room. Someone left a comment below. My friend pointed it out to me, but I didn't care. He said my mental health was unstable. Yeah, don't care about anybody like that, Susu. People probably say I'm mentally unstable all the time. Probably. I don't care. Almost every genius in the history of mankind was called a mentally unstable person at some point. So don't worry about that. In life, there will be some people who are frightened by you. Just because of you. Just because the way you are. Not everybody will understand you. It's okay. It's okay. Not everybody needs to understand. Okay? Not everybody will understand you, but not everybody needs to understand. Okay. Hello, Doris. Good to see you. Thank you, Diana. Okay. Very briefly, I just want to tell you who I am if you don't know who I am. If you are new, I'm not new. I've been on Hello Talk for almost 13 years. And about 90,000 people follow me here. Almost 91,000 people, I think. And I am a real English teacher. I've been teaching English since 2009, and I've been a teacher since 1994. So, if you have questions, and if you are studying English, then this is a good room to come to. But you need to come and ask questions. But I want you to think about your questions, okay? Ask good questions. I want you to think, if you had a chance to meet God, right? You have a chance to meet God, and you can ask God anything. Don't you think it would help if you thought about your question before you ask it? And don't ask something that's so big, like, what's the meaning of life? If you ask God that question, he's probably just going to laugh at you. Okay? So, when you ask a question, you need to ask the right questions. Not, how can I be good in English? Or how can I be fluent? Those are not good questions, and you know they're not good questions. Okay? Those are not good questions. You know it. All right? It's too big. It's too broad. Many years ago, my teacher told this to me. You know, I asked him, how can I be a good drummer? And he said, Mark, if you have to write a book about it, then it's not a good question. If I have to write a book to answer the question, then it's not a good question. Okay? I look like AI, what? Do I really? Is there a filter on? I don't think there's a filter on. Wait a minute, let me check to see if there's a filter on. I'm not AI. If I were AI, I'd be a lot more handsome. Oh, there is a filter on. Here, is this better? Now nothing is on. How to say water in English. So the British, water, right? But not really. It depends on what British person you speak to. There are many accents in English, and not all of them say water, bottle of water, right? They don't say that. Many of them will say water, right? Like it's more clear. Their pronunciation is a little more enunciated is the right word. Okay? But in American English, it's water. Water. Now, in American English, When we speak slowly, the T is a hard T, water. But as you speed up, the hard T gets cut in half, right? There's not enough time to say the hard T. So the hard T, I want you to imagine the T, the letter T. What if you cut that letter in half and you take away the front part of that letter? Now you just have the back part of the letter T. That's what it sounds like when you say it quickly. Water, water, water. People say it's a D, that it sounds like a D, but it's not a D. It's a T, but we just cut the first half of the T off. Okay, so slowly it's water. Quickly it's water. Okay? Why is business banal? Banal means boring and trite and unimportant and not valuable to you in a cultural sense or in an intellectual sense. Okay, so things that are banal are things that you don't find to be valuable, and things that you find to be less than valuable, like almost low class, in your opinion. So to me, banality is human action that's below the ability of humans. So when humans could be better, but they choose not to be, that's banal. And that's business. Right? That's what they say in business. Don't take it personally. It's just business. That's banal. Super banal. Okay. Hello, Jocelyn. Hello to everybody in the Philippines, and I hope that you are all okay after that tremendous earthquake. Do the 17 vowel sounds also apply with the consonants of the English alphabet? I don't understand your question. So for there are a total of about 44 total sounds or phonemes in English, and it's roughly 20 vowels. It's 20 vowel sounds and 24 consonant sounds, right? But sometimes people quote it as 17 or 20. It depends on which source you look at, right? But the sources that I use, it's 20, right? And it depends on how you count things like diphthongs. Diphthongs are those weird little double letter vowels that happen. Okay? Why accent is important. Yasmin, accent is not important as long as your accent is clear. Okay, so please listen to me, everybody. I don't care what accent you have. I don't care if you have a Japanese accent, a Turkish accent, an Arabic accent, a French accent, a German accent, a Portuguese accent. It does not matter what accent you have. What matters is if your language is clear or not. Okay? So, if I do this, I'm now going to try to speak like this with my hand in front of my mouth. So guess what? It's not very clear because my hand is in front of my mouth. So that's not clear. That's a problem. But if it is clear, then it doesn't matter. Okay? You don't need to change your accent. You do need to make your accent sharper, more clear. Okay? You have to make it clear. So find the words that are a problem for you and focus on those words. But you do not have to sound like me. Okay? You don't have to sound like me. Flaw and vase meaning of those words in different sentences. Mona, the word flaw, a flaw means a mistake. And an error is a flaw, right? And vase or vase, both, there's two pronunciations for the second word, vase and vase. A vase is a container that we use for flowers or plants, right? So if you have some pretty flowers that you want to show on the table, then you put them into a vase or vase, okay? You put the flowers into a vase. And the word flaw means a mistake or an error or something that's imperfect, an imperfection, right? So maybe, for example, Mona, when they look at diamonds, like diamonds and stones, valuable stones, precious stones, they're called. If you look at a diamond, some diamonds are perfect. The way they're cut and everything is perfect. But some diamonds, they have an imperfection. That imperfection is called a flaw. Okay? Can I pronounce the word think? Think. Yeah, some people say business is business, but I think those people are all bad people. Khalid, please wait. Khalid, you must wait. There are many people who want to talk to me, so please wait. Okay? And I'm trying to answer the questions here first. Learning roots, prefixes, and suffixes is one of the best ways to learn words, right? That means you can even guess the meaning. Yes, Susu. So that's what I learned when I was 15 in high school. I took Latin as a language, and it was really, really hard. Latin is a difficult language. So I did not do well in Latin as a language, but I did learn about these roots and prefixes and suffixes. And because I was able to know those roots and prefixes and suffixes, it gave me a huge advantage over the other students for my vocabulary. Because yes, now I could see words that I have never seen that word before. I don't know that word, but I know that little part of the word. So now I can guess the meaning. But they don't know the little part, so they can't guess. Okay? So yeah, it can be very useful for unfamiliar words. Okay. That's true. I agree with that. Unfortunately, some people still prefer British English accent, again, pertaining to the vowel and consonant sound of said counter. Sure. But I don't care what accent you prefer. If you like the British accent, do the British accent. If you like the American accent, do that. And remember, Tabby, there are 30 American accents, and there are, I think, like 50 or 60 British accents. Okay, so this accent is just one of many in America. Okay? Mine is called the Mid-Ohio or Central Ohio accent. What is my job? You're looking at it. I'm a teacher. Hello, Leo. I'm a college student. I wonder how to learn spoken English. Should I find some native English speakers? Leo, that would be good if you can. Okay, so Leo, if you live in a big city like Beijing or Shanghai or Shenzhen or Guangzhou, there are native speakers of English in your city, but you have to go find them. So how can you find them, Leo? It's very easy. Leo, if you find the food, you will find the foreigner. So if you want to find Greek people in China, find the Greek restaurant. If you want to find Turkish people in China, find the Turkish restaurant. If you want to find French people in China, find the French restaurant. So if you want to find American people in China, where do they have a good burger or pizza? If you can find a restaurant that has a good burger or a good pizza, go there on a weekend and you'll find foreigners. All right? Go to McDonald's. Well, you'd be surprised. Actually, a lot of foreigners don't like McDonald's. I don't really like McDonald's. I have not eaten at McDonald's in more than 5 years. It's probably been longer than that. So, Leo. The other thing, Leo, is if you can find people to practice with, that's great. But, Leo, that's still not enough. You won't have enough opportunities. So you have to find a different way to practice, Leo. All right? So that means that you don't have to practice writing. You don't have to practice reading or listening or speaking. But you do have to practice thinking in English, Leo. Make English comfortable because you think about it all the time. If you're thinking in English, then when you need to speak English, your English will be ready. But if you're not thinking in English, then when you need to speak English, you won't be ready. And then you get nervous, and then you can't speak. So, 明天如果你很饿，你需要想什么？大家 Yeah, I'm hungry. Yeah, 明天如果你很累，你需要想什么？ I'm tired. 明天如果你喜欢什么东西，你需要想什么？ I like that. I don't like that. I want that. I don't want that. I need that. I don't need that. I'm tired. I'm happy. I'm hungry. I'm sad. That's easy. Anybody can do that, but you don't. You don't do it. You don't do it. You could practice everything that's easy, but you don't. So, tomorrow, you need to understand that at least 50% of your practice should be here. Okay? 50% should be in your mind. All right? Okay, please be patient. Let's see. My accent sounds like a standard American English, just like our Mandarin. Right, yeah. My accent is considered the most neutral, the most standard of American accents. It's the closest to the IPA. Okay, let's see. Why what? You mean, why will you find the foreigner if you find the food? Because anytime, if you live in another country, right? If I move to France, okay, the French have amazing food. French food is delicious. It's amazing. It's incredible. And of course, there's all kinds of other European food that I could eat also. But I'm an American. So that means that sometimes I want something that's American. I want a burger. I want something that makes me feel like home. So anytime you move to another country, finding the food that makes you feel comfortable is really important to you. Okay, so every foreigner that lives in another country, they all know what restaurants they can go to find food that makes them feel like home. All right? So that's why you can find the foreigner if you find the food. Okay? What's the most famous American dish outside of the cheeseburgers and fast food? Maybe French fries? Probably. Something like that. Have I tried Panda Express? Yes, I have. 还好啊。有时候我感觉就是很好吃，就是不传统的 ，OK？ 可是我感觉这是别的，可是好吃的。All right, let's see. I understand everything you say, but when I talk to some Americans, sometimes I don't understand what they're saying because of their abbreviations. Yeah, that's normal. That's normal, Marwan. Not everybody cares about their language like I do when I speak here. Okay? Don't try to understand everyone, Marwan. Try to understand people who speak well. In the beginning, that's what you should do. Don't try to imagine understanding everyone. That's too big. Just try to understand people who speak well. Okay? What does it mean? I always heard people who learn language think like the language you're studying. Right. So it means, Tabby, people are asking me, how do you learn how to think in English? So I'm going to tell you. Wait a minute, though. It's a little hot, so I'm going to take my jacket off. Okay. I'm going to tell you how to think in English quickly. Listen. All right? There are 4 steps to learn how to think in English or any language. Step 1, baby English. Babies don't know grammar, and babies don't care about grammar. So when you start learning English, don't care about grammar when you think. Don't worry about grammar when you think. And what do babies think about? What do babies think about? Babies think about how they feel, what they want, what they need, and what they like and don't like. That's it. That's all babies do, is they think about how they feel. I'm happy, I'm tired, I'm sad, I'm hungry. And what they want or need or like or don't like, right? I like this, I don't like that. I need this, I don't need that. I want this, I don't want that. That's all babies think about. Okay? Is that hard? Is that hard? Is any of that hard? No, it's not hard. It's very easy. But again, it's a funny thing how because something is easy, many people will skip it. They don't practice it. They don't think about it. They don't practice it. So I'm telling you that if you can practice thinking simple things, then you should. Right? So every day you can practice English every time you're hungry. Every day you can practice English every time you're tired. Every day you can practice English every time you have a feeling. Every day you can practice English every time you like something or don't like something or want something or don't want something or need something or don't need something. That's not hard. But you don't do it. Why? Why don't you do this? It's the simplest, most basic practice that you can do, but you don't do it. So, tomorrow, baby English. Baby English, baby English, baby English. Okay? Okay, right, think like a baby. That's right, okay? That's step one, okay? And just use basic vocabulary, baby vocabulary, A1, A2, right? Mostly A1, right? Then we go to step two. Step two is what I call curious kid English. Curious kid English. And what that means is between the ages of 5 and 13, kids ask a lot of questions. Who is that? What are we doing? Where are we going? When are we going to get there? Why? When? How? What? Kids ask a lot of questions. Why do kids ask so many questions when they're young? Why do kids ask so many questions? Curiosity, okay, but why? What is the function of curiosity when you're 5 to 13? What's the function of curiosity? Why are they learning? Why is that important? Kids are vulnerable. Vulnerable. Do you know that word? Kids are vulnerable. It means that they are easily hurt. Kids can be easily hurt when they're small and they're young and they're immature. So, nature has taught us that you must ask a lot of questions when you're young so that you can learn, because you're in danger when you're young. You're vulnerable. So you better ask questions. Was that a lion? Is that a lion? Are lions bad? Is that dangerous? You have to ask questions because you're young and vulnerable. Okay? So, that means asking questions is a very important part of learning any language. All right? It's a critical part of the beginning of language learning. So this is what step 2 is. Step 2 is I want you to ask as many simple questions as you can in English, and then answer those questions in simple English as well as you can. So, if you're at the grocery store, you're at the store, I want you to look around the store and say, who is at the grocery store? Who do I see? Oh, I see the boss. I see my neighbor. I see 2 workers. What are they doing? Oh, the boss is talking to the 2 workers about their work, and my neighbor is buying some milk. Oh, and where is the grocery store? Oh, the grocery store is 3 blocks down the street and 2 blocks to the right, next to the park. Oh, what time does the grocery store open? What time does the grocery store close? Can you answer that question and ask it in English, right? Can you ask and answer, right? Who, what, where, when, why, how? Ask as many questions as you possibly can. Be a curious child. In English, be curious. Ask the questions and answer the questions. But don't answer with short answers, right? If the question is, do you like English? The answer is not yes. The answer is, yes, I like English. You must answer with a complete answer because when you practice, you're supposed to practice completely. Okay? Practice completely. So, part 2, that's right. Curious Kid English is part 2. Kids ask a lot of questions. Who, what, when, where, why, how. Ask the questions and answer the questions. Now, there's another part of Curious Kid English. The other part of Curious Kid English is that kids learn that language is power. Language is one way to show your maturity. So, for example, when you're 7 years old, let me think of a good example. Wait a minute. When you're 7 or 8 years old, some kids, they stop saying mommy and now they say what? Mama or mother or mom, right? And why do they say mom and not mommy? Why not mommy? Not because it's long. Not because it's long. Why do kids not want to say mommy anymore? It's baby language. That's right. It's baby language. Kids recognize that there are some words that are for babies and some words that are for adults, right? So, the second part of Curious Kid English is that kids start to upgrade their language a little bit. So they don't say mommy, they say mom. They don't say yummy, they say delicious. They don't say, big, they say huge or gigantic, right? They learn new words that are bigger words or more mature words that babies don't say those words. Babies don't say gigantic. Right? So kids learn that language is part of maturity. And that if you use baby words, they treat you like a baby. Right? So step 2 is Curious Kid English. You have to be a curious kid, ask a lot of questions, answer those questions. But I also want you to upgrade your vocabulary a little bit, especially your adjectives. Adjectives like, instead of big, you can say huge, gigantic, right? Instead of small, you can say tiny, minuscule, right? So that's one of the things they do is they start learning the alternate words, the more mature words, right? Okay, so that's step 2. Step 3. Step 3 is what I call identity English. Identity English. That's like high school English. So what do kids in high school talk about? What do kids in high school talk about? I need more coffee. Let's see. Girls, lessons, love. Not really. What do they talk about, guys? In high school, you talk about one thing more than anything else. You talk about yourself. You talk about yourself. You talk about your family. Who is your family? Your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your nephews, your nieces. You talk about your friends. Who are your friends? Where did you meet? Why do you like this person so much? You talk about your hobbies and your interests. Oh, I like fishing and I like swimming and I like gardening and I like painting. Right? You talk about your dreams and your goals. I want to do this and I hope I can go here. Right? So you talk about identity. Identity. Not politics yet, Yamin. Not usually. High school kids don't usually have strong politics yet. They don't know enough to have politics yet, usually. Okay? Not all of them, but most of them. They're too young to know politics. But they have identity. They have an identity. Who am I? Right? That's part of growing up. Part of growing up is you have to tell people about you. What makes you different? What makes you special? Who are you? So, step 3, identity English, is can you think about your family in English completely? Can you think about your mom and dad? How old are they? Where are they from? What job did they do? What makes them special or different or unique? What does your father love to do? What does your mother love to do? Okay? So, family. Can you think about your friends? Can you think about your friends? Can you tell people about your friends? Who's your best friend and why? Right? Can you think about that in English? If you can think about it, then you can say it. Right? What are your hobbies? Why do you like fishing? When did you go fishing for the first time? Right? This is identity English. Okay? And then, again, high school kids also upgrade their English again. You upgrade your vocabulary again. You start upgrading your nouns and your verbs and your adjectives and your adverbs more, right? You're trying to use bigger words, and kids will also use more slang in this age. Identity English has a lot more slang. But for you, I don't want you to worry about slang yet. Okay? There are many reasons why you don't need to worry about slang. Okay? Let's see. Okay, so that's step 3, okay, is identity English, right? Can you think about all of your identity? Who are you? Where are you from? Who is your family? Where are they from? What do they do? Who are your friends and why? What are your interests? What are your hobbies? What are your goals? What are your dreams? What is your past, right? Have you ever been to this place? Have you ever been to this place? Tell me about when you went to camp when you were a kid, right? That's identity English, okay? Then we have step 4. Step 4 is advanced topics. Advanced topics. And the truth is, I think that most language learners do not reach level 4. They don't reach level 4. Because advanced topics means that you're talking about religion and politics and philosophy and economics and, physics and very difficult topics. Okay, so my Chinese, I can speak about my identity. I can speak, up to level 3 in Chinese. But I can't talk about politics. I can't talk about philosophy. I can't talk about religion yet in Chinese, right? So that's level 4. Advanced topics, economics, religion, politics, philosophy, history, science, things like that. All right? But again, most people don't reach that level, and that's okay. It really is. It really is okay that most people don't really reach that level in a second language. Okay? So, once again, baby English, step 1. Curious kid English, step 2. Identity English, step 3. Advanced topics, step 4. Okay. Waleed, if you're having trouble, I'm sorry, my friend. Please, Waleed, message Hello Talk and tell them. Okay, I can't help you directly, but if you message them, then they can talk about what's going on and try to figure out why you're having problems. Okay? All right. So, let me ask another question. Guys. How did I figure that out? What I just told you, the 4 steps of thinking in English. How did I figure that out? Anyone know? Because I was a baby, because I tried myself, because it's a way you learn your language and you use it to your curiosity and other things, experience. Okay, you're all pretty close. But no. I figured this out with one very simple method. If you want to learn something, you need to think about how you would teach it. So that's what I did. I thought, how can I learn about thinking in English or thinking in another language? How would that happen? I don't know. Let me think about that. If I had to teach someone else, if I had to teach another person, what would I tell them? This is one of the best things that you can learn. If you want to learn something for yourself, I want you to think about how you would teach it to someone else. All right? Because if you can think about how to teach it to someone else, then you can teach it to yourself. Okay? Do I have kids? No, I do not. You're learning another language, but you're going to apply those 4 steps. Yeah, so that's the thing. Most of my ideas, they're concepts, and they're concepts that you can use for any language. So a lot of the ideas that I teach are not specific to English. They're just learning concepts. It's understanding how to learn. If you understand how learning works, you can learn a little better. Okay? All right. We have to train our brains to think in English from stage 1. Well, that would be best, right? If you're learning a new language, yeah, it's best if you can think about it from the beginning, if you start thinking from the beginning. But in my experience, most language learners were never told about thinking in English. So most language learners are still thinking in their native language, and they never learned how to. So they have to go back. They have to take a few steps backward to learn how to think in English so that they can take 10 steps forward. Okay? That might be true for many of you. There it is. Sorry, everybody. Am I back? Yeah, I don't know what happened. Can you hear me? No voice. Okay, wait. How about now? Can you hear me now? Yes? Okay, yeah, that was weird. I accidentally clicked a button on my keyboard, and I think I shut down the stream. Oops. Okay, I'm sorry. I was saying something. What was I saying before I accidentally turned it off? I totally lost my train of thought. Can somebody remind me what I was saying before? What was it? I was trying to make a point. Now I can't think. Right. Okay. Yeah. I think that's basically what I was trying to say, was just that thinking is a really important part of learning, and that language, it's a very important part of language. And if you don't feel comfortable with language, probably it's because your thinking is weak. Probably it's because your thinking is weak. That's all. Okay? And yet, the act of learning is the act of teaching. So if you want to know how to learn something, you have to think about how you would teach it. Okay? And as a matter of fact, do you know how, do you guys know who Feynman is? Richard Feynman? That's the Feynman method. Have you ever heard of the Feynman method? Richard Feynman was a very famous physicist and teacher. And Richard Feynman, his technique was basically, if you want to learn something, then teach it. If you can teach it, you understand it. If you can't teach it, you don't understand it. And I started doing that before I even knew who Feynman was. I remember, I learned this trick when I was about, I don't know, between the ages of 17 and 19, I learned this trick. I started learning this because I was teaching myself drums and music. So I started learning about the idea of teaching something as a method of learning and understanding it clearly. That if you can teach it, you know it. If you can't teach it, you don't really know it. So if you really want to know if you know something, ask yourself if you can teach it. If you can teach it, you know it. All right? Okay. I think that was what I was trying to say. I'm sorry I lost my train of thought. That's what we say. If you forget your words and you forget what you were going to say, then you can say, oh no, I've lost my train of thought. My train of thought means I had a train and that train was going this way, but now I lost where it's going. I don't know where it's going. I lost my train of thought. Okay. Okay, so if you are new, please give me a moment. If you are new, then you should go here. If you are new, please copy this link, the link that I just put in the chat. Please copy that link, paste it to your browser, and open it and read that file. Everything that you need to know about me is in that file. Okay, so if you want to know who is this guy and what's he doing and what's his schedule and does he have a YouTube channel? I do. It's in the file. Does he have a blog? I do. It's in the file. Does he have a website? I do. It's in the file. Does he teach private lessons? I do. It's in the file. Okay, and I also put 4 free articles in the file. One of those articles is about how to think in English, like we just talked about. I wrote an article about it. Okay, and another article is about how to learn vocabulary better. That's another question that many people ask me, so I wrote an article about it. Okay, there are 4 free articles in that. Okay? Yeah, the Feynman method. That's what I was talking about. I was talking about Richard Feynman. And I was saying how Richard Feynman was a very famous teacher and a famous physicist. And one of his methods was the idea of if you really want to know something, then you should think about how you would teach it. If you can teach it, then you know it. You understand it. But if you can't teach it, then you don't really understand it. So I started learning this when I was 17, 18 years old, that I was teaching myself drums. And I started teaching drums when I was 18. Okay, I started my teaching career began as a drum teacher. Okay, and I was teaching my students, and while I'm teaching them, I'm thinking about how to teach them. Right? How would I teach this idea? They need to know this. How do I teach it? They need to know this. How do I teach it? They need to know this. How do I teach it? And that is how I learned, oh, wow, look, if you do that, then you really understand it. Once you know how to teach it, then you feel like, I've got it. I've got it. You know? Yes, Heisenberg. Okay. Yeah. Daja Jongoren, if you want my file, send me a private message on HelloTalk. Send me a private message and I will send you my WeChat ID. And then you can add me on WeChat and I'll send you the file on WeChat. Okay? You can also try to use a VPN if that works for you. Okay. Let's see. The 5 questions to ask to start a conversation. Hello. How are you? What's your name? Where are you from? What do you do? What do you like to do for fun? That was more than 5. That was more than 5. AI told you that it can also play drums? AI told you it can play drums? That's funny. Okay, well, good for you, Susu. If it works for you, then good. There's a famous saying that history repeats itself. Do I agree with this, or do I think history just rhymes? Ooh, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, I think it's closer to say that history just rhymes, right? So history repeats itself is not exactly accurate, right? Because history is more like the analogy of a river. You can't step into a river the same place twice, right? You can never step into a river the same place twice because a river is always moving. Time is always moving as well. So it's important to learn history and study history and understand what happened. And it's important to understand parallels and relationships between history and modern era, the current time. But it's also important to remember what you said, that just because it looks like it doesn't mean it's exactly like it. It's more like it rhymes. It's very similar sounding. Okay, so that means that you should pay attention, and probably the things that you learned from earlier will help you. But don't assume that anything from the past is exactly the same as today, because today only happens once. Right? So what you learn is valuable, but every day is still a new day. Right? All right, let's see. My brain shuts down after listening to English for too long and I stop understanding anything. Am I just burning out from too much practice? Maybe. You might be burning out from too much practice, or maybe you just need to change it up. Change it up and try someone else. Listen to some other people. Listen to some different things. Try some different method. Instead of listening to podcasts, listen to music or a TV show or, you know, a dialogue conversation. Right? Change it up. Learning requires repetition, but repetition often brings boredom. So that's why you also need variation. Variation on repetition. So in drumming, we learn something called permutation. Permutation. To mutate means to change. To permutate means to change just a little bit. So, in drumming, what we do is almost like statistics. We learn every possible way that you could play. Within one measure, we learn every rhythm that could be played. So we'll play the most basic rhythm, and then we'll change it just a little bit, and change it again just a little bit, and change it again just a little bit, and change it again just a little bit. And we do that with every single one. So let me just give you an example. One measure has 4 beats. In music, we count that as 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. That's 16 notes. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's 16 notes. Okay? And in 16 notes, you can put an accent on any one of those notes. So you do this. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a. So that's the first permutation. The accent is on the 1. Then we move to the very next note. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a. Then we move to the next note. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. I know you don't care about drums. I'm trying to show you that drumming taught me a method of looking at how to change one thing just a little bit so that you practice it more. You get more variation to practice. You get more and more and more variation. And each one is a new level of confidence. Ah, I can do that one. Ah, I can do that one too. I can do that one. And what we gain is control. So by learning every possible statistical permutation, every possible choice, every possible option, I have complete control now. Because I learned every little possible option, every permutation. This is another trick of learning. This is something you can use in English or any language. Okay? You have to learn how to practice with permutation. Okay? let me give you an example in English, all right? So if I wanted to say this sentence, if I want to say this sentence, I can practice it many ways. I could just say, yesterday I went to the store to buy some food. Whoops, I misspelled went, but you get the point. I could say, yesterday I went to the store to buy some food. That's one way to practice it, sure. Or I could practice it like this. Carolina, this is what permutation means. Watch. Yesterday. 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 Oh, that sounds good. I feel like I can say that word really well. It's comfortable, it's relaxed. So now I can move on to the next word. Yesterday, I. Yesterday, I. Yesterday, I. Ah, that feels good too. That feels comfortable, it feels relaxed. So now I can move on to the next word. Yesterday, I went. Yesterday, I went. Yesterday, I went. Do you see what I'm doing? So the next step is yesterday I went to. Yesterday I went to. Yesterday I went to. But if I make a mistake, and I mess up, then that means I need to take a step backward and try again. And I cannot go to the next word. Do not go to the next word until you feel comfortable. Until you feel comfortable, right? So this is one of the most important things about learning. Practice repetition and variation until you gain comfort and control. Practice variation and repetition until you gain comfort and control. Practice variation and repetition until you gain comfort and control. Do you understand? That's permutation. That's permutation. Waleed, I'm so sorry you're having such a terrible time with Hello Talk, but I wish I could help you, but I can't. There's nothing I can do. Hello, Lucia Miranda. Hello, hola. Wow, it's been 2 hours and 20 minutes already. Means learning every possible way to express one idea, then you can use any method freely and speak comfortably. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, Susu, there is a book in drums. It's called Master Studies. It's a famous book because of this method. If you go through that book, you have masterful control. That's why the book is called Master Studies, because it goes through every possible crazy variation that you can imagine. And I studied drums with a guy, there's a famous drummer, his name is Danny Gottlieb. And he studied with another famous drummer named Joe Morello. Joe Morello's very, very famous jazz drummer. And Joe Morello wrote this book, Master Studies. Joe Morello was almost blind, almost completely blind, and he was like 75 years old. He's an old man. But I have never, ever seen anyone with so much control of their hands and feet. I have never seen anyone with so much control. And it's because he designed this system. He designed a system of practicing that's so effective and efficient that it goes through every possible choice, so that if you learn every possible choice, you have every bit of control. Okay? Okay. Okay, guys, I think I'm a bit tired. I think I'm a little bit tired. I need to take a break. Okay? You'd be surprised how 2 hours of caring is a lot more tiring than 2 hours of not caring. 2 hours of caring is a lot more tiring. And I care when I teach. Okay, you're sleepy, Heisenberg. Well, go to sleep, man. Go to sleep. What's my life advice for young people? My life advice for young people is that we are all going to have to learn very soon. We are all going to learn, probably the hard way, that developing yourself as a person is more important than developing yourself as a worker. That's the lesson I would tell young people. Developing yourself as a person is much, much, much more important than developing yourself as a worker. And I think we're all going to find that out very soon. I think we're all going to find that out very soon. So remember that your job is to figure out how you can be better today than you were yesterday. Don't compare yourself to other people, but do compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Whoever you were yesterday, be better today. Okay? Whoever you were yesterday, be better today. And one final piece of advice I will tell you is, if you want to be good, then surround yourself with people who are good. Surround yourself with people who are better than you, and you will always be better for it. You will benefit. Surround yourself with people who are better than you in some way, because they will make you raise yourself up. But if you surround yourself with people who are not better than you, then what will happen? You won't grow. You won't grow. Okay? So, your job is, you should always feel like you're the worst one. If you always feel like you're the worst one, then you're doing the right thing, because it means that you're surrounded by people who are better than you. And that's good, because that means you will learn more. Okay? If you surround yourself with people who are better than you, then you will learn more. All right? So I remember when I was 16 years old, I went to a performing arts high school in my city, and I was in the drumming class, and there were 5 drumming classes. There was percussion 1, percussion 2, percussion 3, percussion 4, and advanced percussion. That was like percussion level 5, right? And I was not good at that age. At 16, I was terrible. But I begged my teacher. To let me be in the advanced group. I begged him to let me be in the advanced group, and he let me. And I was the worst one in this group. There were 15 kids in this class, and they were all brilliant musicians. They were amazing players. Even at a young age, they were incredible musicians. And I was terrible. But I was happy because I was learning. So I was thrilled to be the worst one in the best group. I was thrilled to be the worst one in the best group. All right? Okay. Okay, when is the next class? It should be tomorrow, okay? For right now, it's still Monday through Friday, okay? At some point in the very near future, I have plans to move away from Hello Talk, that I probably will only do one day a week on Hello Talk. But for right now, I'm still here 5 days a week, okay? For right now, I'm still here Monday through Friday. All right? Sometime in the next few months, I probably will be changing that. But for right now, it's Monday through Friday. Okay? You're right. I've spent time with those who are not as competent as myself, and I've paid a heavy price. Yeah. Now, okay, I will also say, though, that sometimes it's not about being good. Let me give you one last story, okay? I have been playing drums for most of my life. I've been playing music, and I've been in hundreds of bands, okay? And I have performed with professionals. I have performed with famous people. Okay, not too many, but I've worked with a few famous people, all right? But let me think about my words. Wait a minute, please let me think. Hold on. I just want you to understand that sometimes you do want to surround yourself with people who are better than you so that you can be better for it. But in life, not everything is always about being the best at something. There's tremendous value. There's great value in just doing things, not to be great, but just to have experience. So there's a story that I love. There's a famous author. His name is Kurt Vonnegut. Kurt Vonnegut is a famous American science fiction writer. Okay, and he tells a story that I really like. He tells this story about when he was a boy. He went to an archaeological dig. Right, that means that he went to go watch. These archaeologists were digging up some old dinosaur bones or something, right? You know, they were digging up something, and he went to go watch or help, okay? And he was talking to this archaeologist, and the archaeologist was saying, well, tell me about yourself. And Kurt Vonnegut said, well, hey, my name is Kurt, and I'm 14 years old, and I live over here, and I'm just here because I really like archaeology and paleontology. And he says, well, what do you like to do? And Kurt says, well, I like to read and I like to write and I play piano and I also like to swim. And the archaeologist said, wow. He said, that's amazing. That's amazing. And then Kurt Vonnegut said, and he's just a boy, he said, oh, but I'm not very good at any of them. He said, I'm not very good at any of them. I'm not a very good writer. I'm not a very good reader. I'm not a very good, swimmer. I'm not that good. And the archaeologist said, I didn't say it was amazing because you are good at them. I said it's amazing because if you've done all those things, then that makes you a really interesting person. And I think that means you've had a lot of interesting experiences. And that is very good. So in life, not everything that you do is supposed to be something that you do to be the best. Sometimes you can do something and just get experience, get value in trying something. But that doesn't mean you have to be the best. All right? So there are two ways that you have to balance. One is this idea that you should surround yourself with people who are better than you so that you'll be better for it. So I usually try to work with musicians who are much, much better than me so that I become better because of them. Okay, but sometimes, for example, I've played in one band since I was 17 years old. I've been in the same band. So I've been working with these guys for more than half my life. They're like my brothers. They're like my family. But in that band, they will all tell you that I'm the best musician in that band. None of them are professional musicians. They just love music, right? So I still play with them, even though they're not the greatest musicians. It's not the greatest bass player, the greatest guitarist, or the greatest singer. But they're like my family, they're like brothers, and there's a different value in what we do. We're not trying to be the best, we're trying to be authentic. We're trying to be ourselves. So, in life, you need to balance between trying to surround yourself with people who are better than you so that you can be better for it. And you also need to think about some things that you do. You don't need to be the best. There's just great value in learning something. So you don't have to be the greatest painter. But painting is a great thing to try. You don't have to be the greatest poet, but poetry is a wonderful thing to try. You don't have to be the greatest songwriter, but songwriting is a wonderful thing to try. Okay? And that's, I think, what we can end with that. I think that's a good lesson to end with. All right? All right. So, again, thank you guys for watching, and thank you for following and participating and all of that good stuff. And come back and see me again tomorrow, okay? And do me a favor, if you can, help me out. I am one man. I have no other people helping me. I don't do any other things, so if you think I'm good at what I do, please support me. Give me a tip. That would be nice if you gave me a tip. I don't get paid for this, so tips are nice if you can give them. Or you can share my streams. You can talk to other people, tell your friends, tell other students whatever. Just, help a brother out. Help a brother out. All right? Okay. What time does class start tomorrow? Usually I start somewhere around 9:30 or 10:30 in the morning, my time. Okay, so my time is New York City time. I don't live in New York City, but I'm in the same time zone as New York City. So when it's 9:30 or 10:30 a.m. in New York City, that's about when I start. Okay? Some mornings it's 10 o'clock, some mornings it's 10:30, some mornings it's 9:30. Okay? Just move to a rich platform and earn more. Susu, I want to talk to you about that sometime soon. Okay, Susu, the last few weeks has been a bit stressful for me with family and a bunch of stuff going on here in my life, so I haven't had time to really work on anything. But I would like to talk to you more about my movement to a new platform. I do want to move to either Bilibili or Redbook or one of them. Okay, so we'll talk more about that soon. Okay, Lucas, I teach English on my own website, which is right here. If you want to take lessons with me, you can. You have to pay me, of course, but you can go to my website and you should be able to sign up and buy lessons on my website and schedule lessons with me if you want to. Okay? All right. Take care, Lucas. And again, come back and see me tomorrow. 9:30 or 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay? 9:30... That's about when I start. Okay? Somewhere in there. I might start at 10:30. I might start at 10 o'clock, 10:15, 9:30. I start somewhere in that time. Okay? All right. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you, Susu and Waleed. Thank you, everyone. I will see you guys next time. Okay? Bye.